Eye on South Asia is brought to you by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo, together we'll go far.
Hello and welcome to Eye on South Asia. I'm Bhavna Vanan.
And I'm Sanjeev Pandya.
Every week we'll cover the latest news, events, and happenings with South Asians in North America. Sanjeev, how are you doing today?
I'm okay, and it's good to be here.
All right, so what do we have as the biggest story for this week?
I think we have got what I would say two biggest stories so far, two of them. First one, we're going to start with Mr. Rajat K. Gupta,
Okay.
who actually, former McKinsey chief and Goldman Sachs director, convicted of insider trading. This month-long trial, and jury took about 2 days to come up with the final decision, and he's been convicted. So now he could get maximum 25 years in prison. Most likely he will not get 25 years in prison. It will be less than that.
Yeah, and he has been found guilty of securities fraud as well as conspiracy, which securities carries like 20 years or something. Right. And his hedge fund manager that
Mr.
he was
Rajaratnam.
Right.
Yeah.
He's been serving time. It's like 11 years
11
or
years,
something.
right.
I'm not sure if that's going to get shortened, but there's always ways to get around those sentences.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously it will be shortened a little bit, I think, and we'll see. I think Mr. Gupta's sentencing date is set for October 18th. So we'll find out that how many years that he'll be going behind the bars on October 18th. But this is definitely what I call a downfall of a giant man. I mean, the guy lived a really praiseworthy life. He was a head of McKinsey and a board of director for Goldman Sachs and Procter & Gamble.
Right.
And now with this insider trading, that him and Rajaratnam, were making deals, and now finally he has been convicted. New York Attorney General, Mr. Preet Bharara, right, according to some reports, he has, since 2009, he has, I think, taken about 66 people, corporate guys and the Wall Street guys, into this insider trading scheme, and all of them, Bhavna, have been found guilty. About 60 of them already pleaded guilty before the case started, and 6 of them, and now 7 of them with Mr. Rajat Gupta, they have been found guilty in the court.
Right, and this is really from the onset of the whole economic decline, you know, and we covered the story and the fact that Preet Bharara was really just cleaning up Wall Street. And,
true, very true.
Just coming as a kind of hero to see, what is going on behind all of these financial institutions.
And I think we should add that Preet Bharara, the U.S. attorney in Manhattan, is an Indian.
Right. Exactly.
I like what he said. Preet Bharara said that having fallen from respected insider to convicted insider trader. What a life.
Right. And this, all these convictions of these Wall Street insider traders and stuff, it just shows that, despite the fact that they make millions of dollars through these trade secrets and stuff, I mean, they're not invincible when it comes to the law. Eventually, they're going to be found out. So, because there are consequences to these things. It's not something that just happens in a vacuum.
And Mr. Gupta's defense team believed that, he will not be convicted because this entire case, the prosecutors built this case around phone records, trading logs, instant messages, and emails. That's all they had.
Right.
There were no witnesses. There were, nobody really took a stand and say that, yes, they were victim of this fraud or that fraud. Nothing like that except phone records, trading logs, instant messages, and emails. So this technology that we use nowadays, it could definitely backfire someone in a situation like this.
Right. And apparently, like, these tools, they've been typically used for like organized crime,
Yes.
Just very big operations and
And
stuff
these
like
are
that.
called
So,
circumstantial evidence. That's the term they use in the court, circumstantial evidence. And through these circumstantial evidences, jury found him guilty.
right. So we will keep our viewers posted in terms of his sentence. Obviously they could be modified and that sort of thing.
Well, we don't know yet. A story just came out as we are going into the recording of the show. Story just came out. We have no record of Mr. Gupta's attorney saying that either they will appeal or not. We don't know yet. So whatever updates that we get between now and October 18, because that's when the sentencing date is set,
Yes.
we'll see, and then we'll of course share it with our viewers.
Right. Okay, so are we going to move to India?
Yes, and
All
I
right.
think this is the biggest story from India.
Okay.
As you may recall, and I think we talked about it last week or a week before, I don't remember, but it's time for Indian government or all the parties to vote for a president, because current president Pratibha Patil's term is about to end. So now, according to this bylaws and the structure of Indian Constitution, all the government parties, they are in the power or in the minority, they all have to agree on who will be or who should be the next president of India. So now the UPA, the sitting party, United Progressive Alliance, which is a Congress, right? They have nominated current Finance Minister Pranab Mukherjee as the next president of India.
Okay, and that's interesting because usually isn't it the prime minister after his term that takes this position? Or is that kind of the intuitive step that would be from Manmohan Singh's?
No, prime minister term has nothing to do with president's term.
Okay.
Because prime minister term, only ends or begins before and after election. Next election is in 2014. So that's when, let's say, current sitting Prime Minister Manmohan Singh will be keeping his position till 2014, unless something happens between now and 2014. But
Right.
president's terms are different,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So now this current finance minister has been nominated, and I think he has somewhat accepted. He's happy about it. He has not said that he doesn't want to be president. And the other name, which is still surfacing, is past president Dr. Abdul Kalam.
Okay.
And I think he could be the next president, but other parties, other political parties have to approve his name. And there are some information, there are some records, and there are some news online that Congress actually asked Dr. Kalam not to be in the race for next president.
Okay. And so they don't actually have a maximum number of terms?
No.
So they can be nominated
Right.
and
After
serve?
after complete one term, they can be nominated for another term.
Okay.
But this is really getting interesting because Pranab Mukherjee has not been, or I should say rather UPA, has not been getting approval from Mamata Banerjee's Trinamool Congress party, which is the next biggest party, in today's Indian government.
I see. Well, just as you mentioned, there's also kind of a declining confidence in general when it comes to Congress,
Right.
as in Sonia Gandhi's party. And there's like this kind of looming cloud over Manmohan Singh,
Yep.
whether he's actually able to sit out this term.
Well, Manmohan Singh's name also came in a race, as you know, that he should be the next president of India, because a few political parties and their leaders expressed this concern and I think disbelief the way Prime Minister Manmohan Singh has been governing the country, because as you know and everybody knows, they are having so many problems, from corruption to fraud and many things going on. Economy is also not doing so well. So the other parties suggested that Manmohan Singh should become the president of India and someone else should take perhaps
the
maybe
PM post.
maybe Pranab Mukherjee should take a position as a prime minister.
Right, but Singh has actually expressed no interest
Exactly.
in that position. So,
Doesn't- But here's, in a whole this thing, right, of course there is a lot of politics involved, a lot of influence involved,
Yeah.
and a lot of, names suggesting and the chasing game involved. But one interesting thing that I found that Pranab Mukherjee himself said that I also seek the support of Mamata Banerjee because she is like my sister. Because both Pranab
I see.
Mukherjee and Mamata Banerjee come from West Bengal, the
Right.
state.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. Let's see that who finally becomes president of India.
Definitely. And what would be, is there like a certain time? What would be the date or?
I'm not sure about that, but I'm thinking the next show we'll definitely, do little research and share it with our viewers.
All right. So when it comes to India and its investor relations, we have the External Affairs Minister, S.M. Krishna. He is talking about American businesses, and he's just trying to give a picture that India is going to grow again.
Exactly.
And give more confidence to foreign investors and that sort of thing. He made this keynote address for U.S.-India Business Council, and he's talking about just the U.S.-India relationship being one of the important points or important ways that India is going to get out of its struggles.
Well, first it was Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, next it was Finance Minister Pranab Mukherjee, and now External Affairs Minister Mr. S.M. Krishna is saying this thing because all these leaders, they will have to come out with the statements, positive statements, to for investors to restore their confidence in the growth of country India, because India is too big for U.S. and other countries to invest it, and they will have to give them certain statements, certain future plans, share some future plans to say that India will continue to grow just like that they have been saying it.
Right, and around that time they want to position, the current ruling party as, doing well and they're in good economic conditions,
Right.
and it's a sound investing environment.
That's
it. All right, with that, we're going to take a short break.
That's right.
And we'll be right back on Eye on South Asia.
Eye on South Asia is brought to you by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo, together we'll go far.